This is a non-spoiler review, and I've been particularly careful here because I was shocked to discover that Warner Brothers has undersold this film. A risky play! But that means it's gonna rely on word of mouth, which from me, as you're about to see, is mostly spectacular. But that's still a risky play. It's even better, in my opinion, than those amazing trailers, which were darn good. And many of us wondered, including me, if maybe they showed all the good parts. They did not! So I want you to have the same experience that I did watching this movie unfold before your eyes, and it being even better than you hoped it would be until the final act. But anyway, Warner Brothers has released a lot of clips, which I think has been a bad idea. I only saw the funeral clip. I haven't been watching. But why release your movie in bits and pieces? Don't watch those clips if you haven't watched them already. And there have been leaks, and once again, just like with No Way Home, I mean, I've hinted at stuff, but I've seen people blatantly leak major reveals in the movie, and that's one of the things that significantly weakens the third act. So yes, The Batman is not a perfect movie, but it's darn close. It's so close. And I would argue it's the best Batman movie to date, with Robert Pattinson in a role he was born to play, at least in the opinion of this Batman fan. And for those of you who know me, I am a huge Batman fan. My favorite comics, the ones that got me into the medium, are Batman and X-Men. And I have a particular soft spot and high bar for those characters. And this is so good. The first 2/3 of the movie are incredible. I was blown away. It's like watching someone ace an exam. You're like, that's it! You actually got it right! That's correct! Oh my God, you did it again! So rewarding for us long traumatized DC fans. With Matt Reeves truly bringing Batman comics to life. Which reminds us that for all their insistence on experimentation with the brand, DC movies are the most successful when they are comics accurate and capitalize on what makes them unique. Our favorite heroes made to seem like they could actually exist. In fact, the Batman gets so real that while some people were worried there might be copycats, real-life copycats of Joker, remember that was a criticism leveled at that movie? I didn't feel that way about that movie. But I found this film terrifying in that regard because it's almost, particularly as it moves on, a how-to manual on how to turn oneself into an effective, famous villain. And with all that's going on in the world these past few years, I don't need to add real-life Batman villains to the mix, thank you very much, especially because I don't think there are any rich people who would be on the side of good that want to fight crime. I was like, could this actually happen while I was watching the movie? And I was like, who would be our Batman? We don't have one. Unfortunately, we have too many Lex Luthors in real life. So first, let's talk about the first amazing 2/3 of the movie. It's just so good. And then we will discuss, again with no spoilers, the problems of the third act. There's only one problem with the first 2/3 of the movie, and that's some of the song choices. Unless you're really into 90s emo, you might roll your eyes. In fact, these songs are played so loud and for such a long time, they really let them go. It was tough for me to sit through those songs, and I hope that people don't snicker in the theater, because this is art, damn it. Have some respect, even if they made a bad song choice. And again, some of you might be like, that's my jam. It was not my jam. I was like, where did this Bruce Wayne, because it's supposed to be a modern film, how did he even get into this music? All right, so anyway, now Robert Pattinson has made it clear. What's Robert Pattinson into? He's into Batman. He's made it clear that he is a huge Batman fan, and I've read interviews with him, and I've been impressed with how much he knows about the character and how much he gets him. But that doesn't always, so what? That doesn't always make for a great performance. Well, here it does. He is Batman. He is the Batman of his dreams, and I think our dreams. He's incredible. And it's not just that Matt Reeves finally lets Batman be a detective, which is awesome. Oh my God, I loved that so much. And it was a really good mystery that you could follow along, although I couldn't solve it. So you were just always like 1 or 2 steps behind Batman, or Batman would explain it and you'd be like, oh, cool, yeah, totally. It wasn't like the Sherlock movie with Robert Downey Jr. where you were like, I still have no idea what the mystery was or how you solved it. So that was fantastic. But Pattinson's physicality, oh my God, the weight of the Batman suit. Oh, we're going to talk about that in the spoiler review because it's used so effectively and it's such a fantastic idea. But I also really liked the deliberateness of Robert Pattinson's movements, even down to his eye movements. And it was just thrilling. It's so Batman. He is Batman. I just can't believe how good he is. I was also surprised at how funny Robert Pattinson's Batman is, with a brutal deadpan delivery. You know, DC movies have come under fire for trying to be light and funny, Marvel-esque. But the Batman proves that DC movies can retain the quality that makes them different from Marvel. And, you know, not all DC stories have to be dark, but I think they all have a darker element. You know, that's what's always separated DC Comics, I think, effectively from the competition. But they can still have humor that audiences love and which is crucial to get people through a 3-hour movie. Do I think the movie needs to be 3 hours? I would tell you that I think that, quite frankly, when you see some of my critiques of the third act, I feel it should be longer, quite frankly. But it's a little too long as is, but I'm not sure, having only seen it once, what I would cut. Because I just love being in this world so much. Now, Robert Pattinson, back to the humor. Robert Pattinson is funny on his own. His banter with Jeffrey Wright's Gordon makes my heart soar. Oh my God, it's incredible. And Colin Farrell's Penguin, he had my whole screening laughing out loud multiple times. He is amazing. I mean, a lot of us love Colin Farrell and have always felt he's gotten bad breaks. I mean, he's a bit of a jinx, unfortunately, and I hope that doesn't materialize here. But he's always been a great artiste, a great actor, and this is no exception. He is incredible. I can see why he's getting his own HBO Max series. I'm blown away. Zoe Kravitz is also equally good as Catwoman, leaping from the pages of DC Comics, particularly year one. Sometimes she and her surroundings look so much like the comic, it took my breath away. It was so cool to see. To see her hold her own alongside Batman, but always, you know, it's always Batman's movie, which is important, but she really holds her own. She's so cool. Her physicality is also excellent, not just from how she moves all the time, but her fight scenes are done quite well. And their interactions in the first 2/3 of the film are absolutely perfect. I don't want to give anything away. I was so delighted in how they interacted. I couldn't believe it. I did not expect to also like Paul Dano's Riddler as much as I do. He looks nothing like the Riddler of the comics, although that character has always been the cheesiest of Batman's rogues gallery. He's always been, I think, he has his fan club, but he's always been the least exciting, I think, to the mainstream. But I'm pleased to report that Reeves and Dano have created a Riddler for today. As I said, terrifyingly so. And, which was the point, but it works, having Batman go up against Riddler is the perfect showcase for Batman's detective skills. So it worked great. Also, it helps that Riddler actually asks pretty darn good riddles. I thought they were excellent. They're hard enough to stump you, but not so hard that you're like, no one could get that. And he has put together quite the puzzle. Also, Reeves has Batman make a rookie mistake, which is fascinating. It was brilliant, and we will discuss it in the spoiler review. It was so incredibly clever, I couldn't believe they found a way for Batman to realistically make a mistake. I loved it! And when we finally talked to Riddler, like really talked to him in Arkham, well, Dano just 1000% became the Riddler. I would trust Matt Reeves to adapt any Batman character at this point. It was incredible. Just like Jeffrey Wright is Jim Gordon. And also Peter Skarsgård does and you know, of course, his wife Maggie Gyllenhaal had a very famous role in the Nolan movies, but Peter Skarsgård does a phenomenal job with his small role. He has one line, and the delivery and the cleverness and the realism of that line, that moment, is just one of the greatest things I ever saw. It was incredible. Every single minute of the first 2/3 of The Batman are a masterpiece on every possible level. To watch this movie unfold is the reward that DC fans deserve after being put through the ringer as we have been. And I hope Matt Reeves wants to make tons more Batman movies. I will watch them because, like Pattinson, he truly gets Batman in the world of Batman. There are just so many great moments, big and small, for us to celebrate. And we will do so in the spoiler review. It's just incredible. I could do a shot-by-shot breakdown of this entire movie. It's that good. Maybe I will when, you know, it comes out on digital. It's just that incredible. Okay, so what the heck could happen in the third act? How does this fumble? Well, a big problem is that the movie suddenly relies very heavily on monologues to explain things for big turning points. You don't see them, they tell you about them instead of show them. And it sucks a lot of energy out of the movie. I don't know if that's because, they filmed this during COVID, which was very taxing. Maybe they just ran out of room to do it production-wise. Maybe these were part of the reshoots, but it was not satisfying, the reveals. The reveals were not at all satisfying. Part of that was because some of them have been leaked. Some of them have been leaked. So not only do we know them, but the characters, they just say them. They just check a box. They're like, oh, there's that reveal. And so since you don't get to see them and there isn't anything more to them, there isn't any nuance, it's not that big a deal. And speaking of things not being that big a deal, the movie keeps promising this big secret that's going to rock Gotham to its core. That's a very gutsy thing for a writer to do, because you better be able to deliver that secret. And this movie cannot deliver that secret. When it's finally revealed what's supposed to be so shocking, I was like, man, it's 2022. You got to do better than that. I mean, that's not shocking at all. The movie also starts to focus more on Batman and Catwoman's romance rather than their working relationship. And at least in my opinion, for all the talk about Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz's amazing chemistry on the press tour, all the media, they've been like, that's the whole reason Zoe Kravitz was cast. Their chemistry is electric. Well, from my perspective, and I love both of them in both of their roles, but I think they actually have zero chemistry. I think they have absolutely no chemistry. They seem more like friends or siblings than lovers. I do not see them together at all. I'd be like, maybe she can be his wing woman and help him meet someone that he actually really likes. And I don't think she seems to like him that much either. There was no chemistry. Zero, zilch, nada, in my opinion. Which is a shame, because that's so integral to the Batman and Catwoman relationship. But again, they're both so good in their roles. So that makes it even more tragic that they don't have that electricity in that regard. And John Turturro is really miscast as Carmine Falcone. I just don't believe him in the role. I'm like, no, he couldn't have done that. That's John Turturro. He wouldn't do that. Also, there's this moment where Catwoman scratches his face, just like in the comics. So that was cool. But I could swear he already had cat scratch scars in that exact same place. So I was like, I didn't see you scratch him before. What? So it took me out of that moment instead of letting me be like, yes, there it is from the comics. As the movie went on and started to lose momentum, and I got a little nervous if you how non-comic book fans would react, if they'd be like, this is too long. I felt a little nervous, and I was like, I hope that it has an explosive ending like Seven or The Joker, which will make sure that audiences leave the theater on a high note. But unfortunately, it does not have that, which is a real shame, and it's unfortunate, again, I think, even though the first 2/3, the script is very, very strong. I want to make that clear. But it just drops the ball in the third act. And I wish they had realized that was so integral, an explosive ending to making this movie really stick the landing. I think the Batman Catwoman romantic stuff was supposed to be the big ending, but I was like, there are no fireworks between them, so it's not working. But the rest of the movie is just so good, so brilliant, so perfect, so thrilling, so electric, so comics accurate, that I think that should be enough to carry the day. It is for me. I love this movie. Despite its flaws, to me, comic book movies don't get better than this. I loved it so much. I plan to see it. I would see it. The most I usually see movies in theaters is 3 times, and that's rare. And if it weren't for COVID, I would definitely see this 3 times. I'm definitely going to see it again in theaters. And then I'm going to watch the crap out of it with you when it hits, HBO Max in 45 days. Oh, mark your calendar for the best watch-along ever. Oh, I'm so excited. I love this movie. I want all of you to watch it, and I hope that you enjoy it. But I'm a little nervous that some of you won't. I'm nervous. It has flaws, but I hope that you can see its beauty despite that. Now, how should you see it? Some of you have been like, should I see it in premium? Obviously, premium is, I feel, the best experience. But you know what? See it how you feel comfortable, particularly in these trying times. You're going to be sitting there for 3.5 hours with trailers. It's very long, and there's no bathroom breaks for the first 2/3. It's just, there aren't any. And I'm still not quite sure where you would even be able to take a break during the ending, because you want to see it all so you can decide where you also think it needs to be improved. But I think that if you can see it on premium, fine, but I would just see it on a really big screen in a comfortable seat. I think that will do the trick. And you're probably going to see it more than once, so you can hit a premium screen up a little bit later when they're less crowded. You're in for one hell of a ride, and I urge you to see it as early and quickly as you can so that those great character moments in the first 2/3 are not spoiled for you. They're just such a great surprise. I loved it. On that note, that's my non-spoiler review of The Batman. Tons more videos, including that spoiler review, starting Thursday when the film officially releases. I'm so excited and curious to see what your reaction is. I'm very excited. All right, share those thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.